Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Braden, Tim, Second Legacy, you're amazing, and thank you so much for stopping by. Today, we are going to show you a pretty good reason why you're going to want to be carrying in church. Because something was caught on a live stream of a sermon this past Sunday that you guys really need to see. Of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. And with that, Tim, could you imagine being in church and seeing what I'm about to show you? Let's just jump right in. Let's do number 21, and then you tell me.
Okay. A gun came through the doors of a Pennsylvania church. The pastor saying the gunman smiled at him before bringing the service to a stop. With what happened next?
This morning, the dramatic video from a church's live stream showing the moment Pastor Glenn Germany looked down the barrel of a gun.
And God has chosen.
He says he's grateful to God to be alive.
So imagine you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that one. So, yeah, what we have here, and if I'm not mistaken, the guy that did this was being sought for a previous murder that he had committed.
Yes.
So
his father or uncle was dead in his own home.
Right. So this guy was a killer. And so, look, folks, the Democrats are trying to pass legislation that would ban guns in churches. And yes. I, as the security lead for my church, we carry guns. We have radios with earpieces. We do regular security checks. We station ourselves throughout the sanctuary during services. Nobody knows who we are. We're not wearing a security shirt or anything like that. Right. And we protect our church. Attacks against Christian places of worship are up over 400% since Biden took office. So the hatred that he's selling is universal. The hatred against Christians, against Jews, against everybody. This is something that the radical left pushes for divisive purposes and for political gain. And they're literally trying to disarm churches so they can't provide for their own security now. This is how much they hate you. And then we see this take place. If this had happened in my church, that criminal would have been taken care of. There would be no need to fund his taking him to court.
He wouldn't have been tackled?
No, he would have paid probably with his life for pulling a gun on the pastor. That's justified self-defense at that point. So
right.
I can't stress enough just how lunatic and how crazy the left is. They seriously hate you so much that they want to disarm you. And they're going to say that this is to save you. We want you disarmed for your own benefit. It's just kind of like, we want to save the children we don't abort. You see the hypocrisy here, folks? Anyway,
that was quite a 1 minute statement. But you're completely right on the idea that they want to completely ban weapons or firearms or self-defense in any type of religious setting, even if it's okay with the pastor, even if it's okay with the congregation, no matter what. It doesn't matter. You guys all agree? Doesn't matter. We say no. So we up in Washington and our state legislatures, we will be the ones who will dictate what freedom will be allowed and what will not be. So you just go to church and hope it works out.
Wasn't it some of the churchgoers in a Texas church a couple years back that a gunman walked in and they put him down? And
yep, they did.
They became national heroes. And the response to that, the Democrats were, we need to take guns out of churches.
Absolutely. You
can't make this stuff up. It's like,
no, you can't. That's exactly right.
It's like they just come out and say, you know what? We like beating babies. We like beating babies. I mean, they just come out there and just say it right to your face. We just watched a church defend itself from a gunman, and we just want to take your guns away. We love children, but we beat babies. Odd. Yeah, it's like...
But Tim, it makes so much sense, though, if you think about it, because if the guy had not brought the gun into the church to do bad things, the other guys who had guns in the church wouldn't have needed to do anything. So therefore, if guns didn't exist, we're good.
Is this kind of like the reverse of trickle-down economics? This is kind of like trickle-up gun control? I mean...
a little bit.
It's like, well, if we take the guns away from the churchgoers, then there's a chance that the criminals won't get guns because criminals don't do criminal things.
They don't.
You know, Braden, the solution was simple. What am I thinking? We just need to they should have just put a no gun sign on the front door of the church.
Oh, it was so simple. You know, talk about an oversight.
We already have the law on the books, and you can do that on private property. You can bar people from coming into private property for things like carrying guns. Why didn't they just put a sign up? Tragedy averted.
It would have been solved. You're right. That's good thinking, Tim. Always outside of the box, always on the cutting edge. That's what I like about you. Well, let me show you something else. This is number 22. So we got 3 clips of this.
Gunman the pastor says he had never seen before, interrupting Sunday's sermon in North Braddock outside Pittsburgh. Pastor Germany says the man had come in and out of the church several times before making eye contact with him, standing up and pointing that gun at him.
He pulled the trigger, and a miracle of God happened that the gun got jammed. That bullet had a name on it.
Clarence McCalliator putting his life on the line and his faith in God, jumping into action, tackling the gunman.
So the reason that I put that clip in was because something was very key that she just said. They were never known. They were complete strangers. There were no red flag laws. Red flags. There were no warning signs. This was a complete stranger acting out violence on other complete strangers.
Generally speaking,
that is the key.
When somebody attacks a house of worship, regardless of what religion, denomination, when they do that, generally it's somebody that has a problem with that particular faith. It's not generally somebody that is familiar to the folks in that church. It's usually a hate crime of some sort. And so
of some sort, right?
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, you have certain situations where you might be in a heightened sense because you know a particular person, maybe in a work environment, whatever, is making threatening comments or something like that. So you might be a little bit on edge. But when you're dealing with churches and people that attack them, generally speaking, it's just a hate crime. So there's no connection there. It's not like you can say, oh, so one of the things we look for in our church, the minute a car pulls into the parking lot, one of the security teams walks outside, watches the person get out of the car, sees what they have in their hands, assesses whether or not there's somebody that comes to the church, and holds the door open for them as they come in. We're checking them as they come into the church, right? We're always there before everybody arrives, and we're the last people out of the building when people leave. And so that's just basic security, and it's all predicated on the notion that there's a good chance if we are attacked, it's going to be by somebody we don't know. So
right. But it undermines the whole talking point of the left, which is, if we only had red flag laws and we could just take guns from people who are a danger to themselves or others, we could prevent all of these things from happening. No, you could not. There is 0% chance you could stop this from happening because it was complete strangers, a guy that had already killed somebody else in another altercation, and the church had never seen him before. There's no way possible any law would have stopped that.
Well, it's just like the UK, right? They ban guns, but they still have stabbings. And so they're like, now we got to ban knives. That's where this goes, folks. So if somebody could snap their fingers and magically every gun on the planet just disappeared, somebody would still walk into a church with a sword or a knife or an explosive.
Right.
And then we fighting sword battles in the hallway? It's like you don't ban criminals out of existence. You just don't. It doesn't work that way.
We would have already done it by now.
Right.
Trust me.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you 100%. Well, let's skip the third clip because we've kind of driven the point home. We get it. But I want to show you something that the actual guy that you saw pull the gun on the pastor said to the trooper after he was arrested. Listen to this. In his alleged confession, Polite, I don't know how they say his name, Polite said he was at home and heard music coming from the church and decided to go inside, according to the criminal complaint. He allegedly told Trooper Sikorsky that he attempted to shoot the pastor, quote, so that he could go to jail and clear his mind. Okay.
Yeah. He's not crazy.
He's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all there.
But I think the name is pretty funny. Polite.
Polite.
Yeah.
Poliski. Whatever.
It seems like when people make the news, they always have names that kind of play into the whole storyline.
Like silly names.
Polite.
Silly
he politely pulled the pistol. Polite did. Yeah. So,
right. It's just such an example of why we need to be able to be free and defend ourselves everywhere, not just in stupid, sensitive places.
Look, banning things isn't a solution to anything. And we've learned this time and time again. I mean, we can go back to prohibition. We've talked about that on the channel before. How did that work out for America? We thought, we can legislate morality in that case. And it's like, we just need to get people back into the church, and so we're just going to ban alcohol. And so they banned alcohol. And how'd that play out? Well, Al Capone was the net result of that, right? And the NFA was the result of that. And to this day, we're still dealing with the fallout, even though they repealed it. In those few years that it was the law, it caused irreparable damage to our nation, to the fact that we still deal with the fallout from that in 2024. And so the idiots that propose these things just go, that one failed, but I think it's going to work this time.
Maybe this time it's just like socialism. Again, we've talked about that too.
Right. It's like, it just hasn't been done right.
It just hasn't been done right yet.
So That is the very definition of insanity, folks. And that's what we're up against with the far left activists. They're trying to take your rights away. So anyway, if you guys go to a church, please just ask about the security there. Volunteer to be a security guard at your church, because it is important. We Christians and others are under attack in our places of worship, and we have a right to defend ourselves. Don't let a politician try to take that away from you. Thank you for watching Second Legacy. We'll talk to you guys soon.